Welcome back to the TheDnazChannel. I am your host, the one and only DNaz. Today we're going to talk about some lost history in America. That's right. Because you know the deal. We've been lied to growing up. Fucking great, right? Our generation, we get to grow up, realize everything we learned was a lie, right? So, some more lies for you. Some more lies. And it's about how old civilization really is on this continent, right? The natives call it Turtle Island, right? And, there's this whole story behind, how advanced the Native Americans were. Like they were just some savages, blah, blah, blah. But that's not true. And how do I know? You say, well, I'm going to point you in some directions and I'm going to point you to some pyramids. Since everybody loves pyramids, right? But nobody knows that we have pyramids right here in America. Right here in America, and lots of them, right? Because we have a group called the Mound Builders, right? Ancient group, like going back to 3500 BC, maybe more, right? These are the indigenous people of North America before white man came there, slaughtered everybody, brought disease, everybody died off, and now we're here. But they weren't savages. They had thousands of years of history. We have proof that people have been traveling here for a long time. Even Europeans, even people from the East have been traveling here for a long time, right? Because we have old forts, we have old Jewish forts in the shape of like a Hanukkah or whatever. We have these old Jewish forts here. We have old Knights Templar forts here from like 800 AD, right? Way before they say Columbus discovered here. We have evidence of people here, like Templars, of people from other countries coming here. So we have evidence of Vikings being here, landing up north in Canada. I forget the name of their landing site. I think it begins with an L, like Lindisfarne, something like that, where they first landed. We have Vikings that landed here, and we know how big the trade was, right? Trade was huge. Vikings were huge in the trade, and there were people here. So if you look at the mound builders of Illinois, Oklahoma, right, you'll see that we uncovered millions of artifacts. And you see that there's trade from like seashells, right? Well, in Illinois, there's no ocean. So how'd they get it? Clearly, there was big trade going on. Those are very ancient civilizations. And then there's another one called, it's in Louisiana, Poverty Point in Louisiana. It's about from 1400 BC, right? This is a legit pyramid. It's the size of 12 football fields. 12, right? And it's like 70 feet tall, but it's made out of earth, right? A lot of them, the mound builders, they were working with earth, with mud, but that makes it sound like they weren't advanced or didn't have great math. These things were aligned to the stars like every other pyramid and temple. They were just built out of mud, but they were very intricate, right? They used the earth. And a lot of these sites were burial sites for their ancestors. There's like hundreds of bones buried in a lot of these mounds. And all over America, we've dug them up. We've, completely shit on their burial sites. We look it up. It's even in Connecticut. We've done this. We've done this everywhere. We've dug up their bones of their ancestors. These spiritual sites of theirs. We just dug them up. So look at the mound builders, right? Look at Poverty Point. And then not only that, go take a look at all the castles that are around America. Just look up online castles in America. There are a lot of castles here. And if you look at old photos, you'll see a lot more of these castles that were here that aren't here anymore. They've been erased from history. So it seems like there was a lot here that they don't tell us, right? And they make the Native Americans sound like some savages or hunter gatherers. They weren't, right? They had nomadic people. A lot of them traveled seasonally. They were constantly on foot. They lived with nature. They lived, you know, very nomadic lives. But that doesn't mean that they didn't have advanced cultures. They had very advanced cultures, cities with thousands of people, buildings, right? So if you look up the Chicago Fair in the 1800s, you will see these cities that are here in America. They were here, these cities that were amazing. The architecture is amazing, amazing. They all have like cathedral like structure to them, shape to them. All the mathematics are in them. They have copper towers, bells. They have like these giant cities that were here. If you look at them, you would be like, where the heck did these buildings go? They were immaculate, made out of stone, marble, like immaculate buildings that where did they go? Right. And they had this excuse. They said that they would put these towns up just for a week or something and then tear it down. They just did it for the World Fair. If you look at the pictures of these towns, there is no way you built this overnight or in a couple days. There is no way, right? A lot of these things were built on Native American slave labor. And who knows if they were the ones that already were living like that. They could have been already living advanced and we could have came here and wiped them out because, disease took out 90% of their population. We brought disease. That did most of the work. If that didn't take them out, there's no way we would have took over this land. There's no way. There was a lot of them here, millions of them here. All right. And their cultures go back thousands and thousands of years. So you have to look up the mound builders, Cahokia, Oklahoma, Illinois, right? Look up Poverty Point, Louisiana. Look up the Mississippians, right? The Mississippians were another culture. There were giant structures here, and they're still here. Serpent's Mound is here. They're still here. These mounds are still here. You could go see them, right? So it's no secret. It's just they didn't tell you these things, and then you think that, oh, we came here, there was nothing here. No, there's structures here that were here for thousands of years that they never mentioned to us, right? So that goes over everything they told us. That just goes against it, right? So who was really here? What really happened when we came here and invaded here, right? What kind of society did they have here? Because you can already see since the 1800s, we've declined. We were on our way to great civilization. And then big businesses took over. They took over the electric, right? They took over railroads, like industrialization happened, capitalism. All this happens here, right? But before then, there's a lot of history that's been erased that we need to look into because it was amazing. You should know that humans have been smart for a long time and we should be way more advanced than we are now because physics has been at a halt for like 50 years. We should be way more advanced because if you look thousands of years into the past, we were advanced then. We were building very complex structures. We were aligning them with the stars. We were doing crazy things with math for thousands of years. So why at a standstill now? Think about it. Are they dumbing us down? Think about it. Like and comment. Leave your comments. I want to hear from you. Subscribe. And I'll see you next time on the DNAZ channel.